Chapter 1. A New Dawn. In the heart of Africa, where the golden sun kisses the vast plains of Burkina Faso, a new day was about to dawn. For 50 years, foreign mining companies had been extracting the country's gold, draining its wealth, and leaving the people in poverty. But tonight, the winds of change were blowing. Chapter 2. The Leader's Resolve. Ibrahim Traoré, the young and determined leader of Burkina Faso, had grown tired of seeing his nation exploited. He vowed to rewrite history and reclaim what was rightfully his people's. His words were clear and firm. The era of exploitation is over. We will hold them accountable. Chapter 3. Gathering the forces. Behind closed doors, plans were being drawn. Special units were assembled, loyal only to the country and its people. The mission was risky but necessary. Arrest the CEOs of foreign mining companies who had stolen $500 billion worth of gold over the decades. Chapter 4. The Night of Operation. At 3 a.m. under the cover of darkness, simultaneous raids began across the capital. In luxury hotels and secluded mansions, foreign CEOs known by code names such as Falcon, Scorpion, and Octopus were caught off guard. Shock and disbelief filled the rooms as masked officers announced, "You are under arrest in the name of Burkina Faso." Chapter 5. Your exploitation ends now. The next morning, thousands gathered in the national square of Ouagadougou. Traore addressed the nation with a powerful speech. For 50 years, they have stolen from us. Today, we take back our dignity and our future. This is the birth of a new Burkina Faso. His words echoed beyond borders, sparking hope and unity across Africa. The sun was rising slowly when the square was already full. Thousands holding Burkina Faso flags had gathered since early morning. Women wore colorful traditional dresses. Children sat on their fathers' shoulders. Everyone's eyes were fixed on one name, one face, Ibrahim Traoré. At 10 a.m., silence fell as a procession of soldiers marched through the crowd. In the middle walked the young leader, wearing a white shirt and a khaki jacket, a beret on his head. Traoré stepped onto the stage with the Burkina Faso flag waving behind him. The crowd chanted, "Traoré, Traoré." He took the microphone, looked around, and took a deep breath. His voice was strong, his words clear. Today, we broke a 50-year-old chain. Today, we reclaimed the honor of our people. And today, Burkina Faso is reborn. The crowd erupted in cheers. But Traoré continued. For half a century, they stole our gold. For half a century, they exploited our children's future. For half a century, they treated us like slaves on our own land. Enough is enough. His voice hardened. Last night, we arrested those who have been draining our country's veins. Now they will be judged by our courts. Now they will answer for the wealth they stole from our people. He paused, his eyes sweeping the crowd. They told us, if you touch them, they will overthrow you. I said to them, we have already knelt down, there is no lower. Now we can only stand up. The square exploded like a volcano. Traoré addressed the whole continent. Brothers and sisters of Africa, Niger, Mali, Guinea, Senegal, Congo, South Africa. You must know, Africa's wealth belongs to its people. Not Paris, not London, not Washington. Only we can guard our own gold. The live broadcast quickly reached world media. CNN, BBC, France 24, Al Jazeera, everyone was asking, is a new revolution starting in Africa? French TV expressed anger. Some commentators said, Traoré's move could break Western African relations. US analysts debated, who is behind this courage? But messages from across Africa were different. Traoré is our voice too. As the speech ended, Traoré held the microphone one last time and shouted, we will no longer bow down. Thousands responded at once. Never. At that moment, only one sound echoed over Ouagadougou, the voice of freedom. Chapter 6. Africa Awakens. The day after Traoré's historic speech, unexpected scenes appeared across Africa. In Niger, Mali, Guinea, Senegal, and even the most remote villages in South Africa, people took to the streets. Slogans in different African languages carried the same meaning. The gold is ours. Africa, Rise up. End exploitation. The first spark ignited in Niger. Thousands gathered in front of the French embassy in Niamey, waving Burkina Faso flags. In Mali, people held a solidarity with Traore march. In Guinea, the state TV called the operation Africa's New Liberation Day. This was not just solidarity. It was the beginning of a rare, continental-scale popular movement in post-colonial history. But this wave triggered alarm bells in Western capitals. Emergency meetings were held in Paris. Diplomatic channels activated. A French diplomat sent a secret message. If this movement spreads, not only Burkina Faso, but all of West Africa will slip from our hands. In Washington, the situation was assessed strategically. The Pentagon began discussing the future of military bases in Africa. CIA report said, Traore is not just a leader. He's becoming a continental symbol. Only 3 weeks after the operation, leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger met secretly. Location: Bamako. The meeting was closed to the press. Leaked information revealed that the 3 leaders agreed to 1. Temporarily suspend sales of gold, uranium, and other minerals to foreigners. 2. Establish economic and military cooperation among themselves. 3. Prepare a joint defense agreement against Western pressure. Western media called this the New African Bloc. But African people gave it a simpler name: the Freedom Alliance. But not everyone applauded this union. One evening, an anonymous foreigner with a diplomatic passport visited Traore and delivered a message. If you continue this path, you will lose not only your power, but your life. Traore's response was clear. To die for Africa's independence is more honorable than living as a slave. On YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, #AfricaRising, #GoldRevolution, hashtags trended. Young Africans remixed Traore's words into music. Videos of dancing crowds traveled across the continent. This was no longer a national issue. It was the story of Africa taking its own destiny into its hands. Chapter 7: Shadows and Threats. Only a month after Traore's speech, strange events began in Burkina Faso. At first glance, they seemed ordinary but held deeper meanings. A power plant exploded in the middle of the night. The national news anchor died mysteriously in a traffic accident. The country's internet infrastructure was down for 2 days. The public saw these as technical faults, but Traore knew. These are no coincidences. This is a new front in a war. Burkina Faso's intelligence discovered foreign agents behind these sabotages. Some came disguised as journalists, others as investment consultants. But all focused on one goal: isolate and overthrow Traore. One night, intelligence reported a private military company active in West Africa set up a secret base in the capital. Target: the head of state. One morning, while Traore was on his way to open a new school, his convoy entered a narrow street. Suddenly, the vehicle in front exploded. Shards of glass shattered everywhere. Guards pulled Traore into an armored vehicle. A soldier yelled on the radio, "Sniper! Sniper!" A sniper on a rooftop was neutralized by return fire. Interrogations revealed he was a foreign mercenary with a history of involvement in assassinations of African leaders. After this, Traore changed his security protocols. He stopped speaking openly among crowds and kept his schedule secret. He assigned intelligence to a special operation named Black Hawk. The mission: dismantle the mercenary network planning his assassination. The Black Hawk team started monitoring foreign agents one by one. Phone calls, secret meetings, money transfers, every connection was uncovered. Meanwhile, Western countries increased diplomatic pressure. A French minister said behind closed doors, "If you don't return our mining companies, we will impose economic sanctions." Traore's reply was firm: "We are already poor. Your threats won't make us poorer." The US message was colder: "Your instability threatens our interests in the region. Reconsider." Traore understood the meaning. They will abandon you and come after you. Despite threats, Traore didn't retreat. The Freedom Alliance with Mali and Niger grew stronger, adding military coordination. The 3 countries began joint exercises along their borders. During one drill, Traore told his soldiers, Every foreign colonizer entering these lands will leave in a coffin. Our independence was bought with blood and will be defended with blood. Chapter 8. The Invisible War. Traore survived assassination attempts. But now the war was not only in streets but in minds. The West deployed its media power alongside military pressure. Western news channels started headlines. Burkina Faso heads toward dictatorship. A young military leader's dangerous plan behind the gold crisis. Instability grows in West Africa. Anonymous sources fed stories portraying Traore as authoritarian, populist, and anti-Western radical. The goal: undermine his legitimacy both in Africa and globally. Social media bots pushed hashtags like #TraoreResign. Most of these accounts operated from Europe and America. Fake videos showed starving crowds and army violence. But the footage was from other countries, edited and falsified. This digital assault had internal support. Former politicians funded by corporate. Lobbyists organized. Democracy rallies against Traore. Traore responded by creating the Voice of Truth Media Center. Journalists, cybersecurity experts, and activists worked together. Their tasks: 1. Debunk Western media lies with real evidence. 2. Tell Africa's own story to the world. 3. Expose fake news instantly. Within a week, millions subscribed to Voice of Truth's YouTube channel. Videos showed children working in mines, poisoned rivers from foreign waste, and local protests shouting, "This is our gold." Every video dismantled Western media claims bit by bit. Thousands of young people filmed and shared their realities online. Hashtags like #AfricaRising created massive solidarity. Some clips embarrassed Western propaganda centers. Western diplomats were furious. We can't remove him militarily or in media. He's becoming the continent's symbol. It was no longer just Burkina Faso. It was a battle to rewrite Africa's own narrative. Chapter 9. The Economy of Gold. When media war failed, the West struck the economic front. Because sometimes, bread and money are mightier than guns. 6 months after the operation, Western banks froze Burkina Faso's international transfers. Access to gold reserves in the central bank was blocked. International lenders labeled Burkina Faso high risk. Western companies cancelled contracts for food and fuel imports. A French economist predicted on TV, "Traore will kneel in months. The starving people will overthrow him." In the capital, shelves emptied. Gas stations saw long queues. Prices soared. But the people's reaction was unexpected. They chanted, "We'd rather starve than be slaves." This is our test. Traore is not alone. Traore declared a state of emergency and launched the Economic Liberation Plan. Its 3 pillars. 1. Trade with gold. Burkina Faso began a barter system using gold reserves instead of Western currency. Russia, China, and some African countries accepted the system. 2. Local production mobilization. People were encouraged to farm. The government distributed free seeds and tools. Even vacant urban lands turned into vegetable gardens. 3. Non-Western Trade Alliance. Agreements on food and fuel exchange were signed with Mali, Niger, Guinea, Ethiopia, and South Africa. Traore proposed the African Gold Union. It would use Africa's gold reserves as a joint financial shield against the West. At a meeting he said, "They control dollars and euros, but they cannot control Africa's gold." After a year, Burkina Faso was not collapsing but growing stronger. Locally grown food reduced hunger in villages. Non-Western trade eased the fuel crisis. International economic media wrote, "A small African country defies economic blockade." Chapter 10. Playing with fire. Burkina Faso's economic independence shattered Western plans. Now, it was time to speak the language of military force. Armed groups appeared near Mali-Burkina Faso borders. They included mercenaries and former militias. Several clashes erupted. Both sides blamed each other, but real culprits stayed hidden. A Western general said in secret, "If Traore refuses to kneel, military action is inevitable. We will do whatever it takes to regain lost resources." Memories of 20th century colonial wars haunted the region. Traore reminded his troops, "We don't want war, but if it comes, we will fight to the end." These lands were won with freedom and will be protected with freedom. He kept diplomatic doors open, engaging the African Union and neighbors to resolve crises. In this tense atmosphere, Africans united even more. Protests for peace and freedom filled streets. Traore's symbol, the golden fist, became a sign of resistance. The region stood on the brink of war. World media called it the new Cold War in Africa. But Traore and his people knew one thing. The price of freedom must be paid, no matter what. Epilogue: A new horizon. The struggle that began under the shadow of gold heralded a new era for Africa. Traore's courage and the people's resistance changed not only Burkina Faso, but the entire continent. African peoples raised a single voice against years of exploitation. Our wealth, our future. The Freedom Alliance laid foundations, creating new continent-wide collaborations. Africa rose as a power that no longer bowed to foreign forces. Traore's vision inspired generations. We are not just mining gold. We are mining hope and dreams. This is Africa's rebirth. Young Africans were determined to rebuild their countries with their own hands. This story showed the world. A wealth gains meaning not by possession, but by protecting and sharing it fairly. Pressure and threats are temporary. The desire for freedom is eternal. The Golden Revolution that started in Burkina Faso spread across Africa. New hopes and leaders emerged continent-wide. This wave of hope carried a message. The future will be fairer and more equal. Africa was no longer a place to be exploited. It was rising to write its own history.